This is the Hollywood Outsider, weekly entertainment podcast. For this week, we're going to look at upcoming releases, including 42, Scary Movie 5, and Disconnect. We're going to have our review of G.I. Joe Retaliation. Sorry, I just laugh when I think about it. From the outside in topic this week, comic book movie cliches and plot points that just don't make no sense. After a normal show, where outtakes generally are, we're going to talk about the Walking Dead season finale and Game of Thrones premiere. There are zero spoilers until after the normal show, so you don't have to worry. The latest in movie and TV news as always, including our own trivia segments. My name is Aaron Peterson. With me today are my fellow hosts, Brian Williams.
Hey, what's up?
Hey. Justin McCumber.
Hey.
And Scotty Clark.
Was that a Fat Albert and like a Valley Girl at the same time? Or what?
Hey.
No, hey.
That was Dwayne Wayne.
Hey.
That's right.
Good times. Better recognize.
Oh, one thing we're not talking about during the show, but we'll mention if you guys want to see it, the Grown Ups 2 trailer, the Cinematic Genius of Adam Sandler sequel, is on our site. Feel free to check it out. Parts of it are funny. That's all I'll say.
You guys loved the first one.
I don't think anybody loved the first one. I said it was funny.
Yeah, I think love is a bit
what
strong
do you
term.
mean?
Yes.
Because I thought it sucked.
I didn't like it either.
I thought parts of it were funny, but it's Adam Sandler and hanging out with his friends and getting paid a lot
Better
of money
than Jack
to do
and
it.
Jill.
I don't know. I didn't see Jack and Jill, nor will I.
That will be Aaron's hell. Nothing but Adam Sandler movies over and over again. The
bad
worst
ones.
of them.
The bad ones. Not the good ones. The bad
Most
ones.
of them.
Let's go right into movie news. One thing, Bruce Campbell is going around doing the press circuit. Have you guys noticed, like, now they're stirring up the Army of Darkness 2 rumors again, where that was dead for the longest time? Does anybody want it? I don't. I mean, I kind of do, but I don't.
There's part of me that does, but he's just... I'm sorry, I love Bruce Campbell, but I think he's too old for that character to be what he was.
I don't know if that would work.
Well, he'd fight something else. I mean, whatever, politicians maybe? I don't know.
That would be kind of awesome.
No, but I mean, people watch movies now and say, "Hey, he's got a 2-shot shotgun. He's got to run out of ammo here, like after 2 shots."
No, not with that movie. They wouldn't. You'd be amazed how much leeway they give him. It's Bruce Campbell.
People our age, yeah.
He gets a cape when he shows up. Seriously, with genre fans, he gets a cape. He literally could spit on his fans, and they'd still love him. They'd be like, "Oh, wasn't he great when he spit on you?" That's Bruce Campbell.
Wipe it off and save it.
They would. Can you sign this?
Put it on eBay.
Chloe Moretz is in talks to join Charlize Theron in Dark Places, based on the novel about Libby, a woman who many years earlier survived the massacre of her family, only to find out that the brother convicted of the crime might be innocent.
Yeah, we really don't know who the character is. I mean, we know the name of the character that she's going to be playing, but we don't know what that character has to do with the rest of the story. You know, she's a young girl who's growing up and getting some of these more mature roles. I like to see it. I'm hoping that she is going to avoid the Lindsay Lohan route of fame and fortune and will completely squander it on senseless partying and shenanigans.
Heroin and hepatitis?
Do what?
Heroin and hepatitis?
Yeah, you know, keep a smart head on your shoulders. Take good parts. Keep your nose literally and figuratively clean. And just let your work be what it is. And if she can do that, I think that she's got, you know, a bright future ahead of her. A film like Dark Places, it's a psychological thriller. It's going to have Charlize Theron in it. It's a nice casting group of people that she's going to be in there with. I hope she does well with it. It's not a genre film, which is more my wheelhouse. Mm-hmm. I'm really not much into thrillers or psychological dramas, but she's certainly not being pigeonholed into genre films, even though she's done Kick-Ass 1, Kick-Ass 2, and now Carrie coming up. She's being smart. She's not sticking to just those roles. She's, you know, broadening up things for herself, and I think that's a smart way to go.
She's really good. And Nicholas Hoult, the Warm Bodies guy, he's going to be in this movie too. They just cast him too. So that's something you can look forward to. China is so large of a market now, they're actually adding footage specifically for them for the Iron Man 3 release. And Transformers 4 is now going to be a co-production with China.
Oh, man. Time to start buying some Rosetta Stone Mandarin versions.
I know. Start practicing your Mandarin, man.
It's really starting to boom over there. I mean, like I say, they're creating a special version of Iron Man 3 to kind of cater to the Chinese. I don't think this has ever been done. Can y'all think of another movie that was edited differently to appease? I mean,
there's been movies where they altered a little bit, like a director's cut version. Just they changed the ending for European audiences, that sort of thing. But never that I'm aware of have they specifically shot footage just to create a different version of the film for them.
So there's something offensive in the American version?
No. It's just they just want it more relatable to China. So they shot scenes in China just for China.
Oh, so it's just about backdrops, is what you're saying?
No.
What is Tony Stark going to go into a dim sum shop or something? I mean, what the fuck is it that they're going to add? I'm actually kind of a little offended.
They're
Iron Man's my hero. You know, it's U.S. goddammit.
They're
I want
adding
my footage.
some Chinese actress, very popular Chinese actress, is going to be in it. They're making specifically a China cut because China is one of the biggest world markets now.
No, I understand that, but I mean, how much of the film are we talking? How much?
I think it's only minutes, but it's stuff that's added to it so that they feel like it's their movie.
That seems so odd to me.
No, it seems like business. I mean, it makes sense. I don't, you got to do whatever you got to do. I don't know if they're actually going to take specific scenes that are in the current movie and they just basically reshot them in China with some Chinese actors instead of American. Maybe they did that. I don't know if it seriously alters them. What's that?
The bad guy is the Mandarin. So I wouldn't be surprised if they shot some stuff for perhaps his backstory in
that
China.
makes sense.
What, to make you more sympathetic or something? I mean, to make maybe understand where he's coming from more to the Chinese that they can relate to more than maybe we can.
Or maybe they just shot stuff on maybe some Chinese locations, for all I know. And in order to do that, they had to promise them, hey, you'll get a special cut with some of these locations just for you.
Then why not make it all that way?
Because I don't think any German, any movies about World War II were made where they said, you know what, for the Germans, let's make Hitler a good guy in this one. But for everybody else, we're going to make, of course, he's the bad guy.
No, they specifically said they shot completely different footage for a Chinese version. So it's specifically for China. They did this for China, not to save money or cut costs. They did it to save money. Or to make money, sorry.
And it's one thing, it's one thing to have a couple of, I guess, more recognizable actors, like The Last Samurai brought in Ken Watanabe, which at the time, nobody in America had really heard of him, but he was fairly big in Japan. That seems like a business thing. Maybe it is business. Maybe it's just the Chinese are finally starting to call in their notes that we owe.
It seems like they're stirring up crap just for the sake of stirring up crap.
I don't think it's stirring up crap. I think they're selling to that market. They're not stirring up anything.
But I mean, that's fine.
It's not going to hurt anybody here.
No, and I'm not saying that it is, but like, why go make the extra effort to add this extra footage? Just make it with some Chinese shots, and you're not going to offend us.
Because like Transformers 3 made over $165 million in China alone, and when you factor into they make an average of about a couple of dollars a month. That's a whole lot of tickets.
So China's going to make up more money by this.
It'll make more money because it seems like it's more for China, as opposed to this is an American movie that we just shipped over to China.
So why have two versions? Why not have it?
Because you've got a sixth of the population of the world's population in this one country, and that's where it's being filmed. That's one of the largest growing markets.
No. I understand that completely. What I'm asking is why bother with the two versions if we have if we have that version in the United States, we're not going to lose sales.
We don't know.
No, but they're doing it I would assume they're doing this to entice more movie watching in China in their theaters instead of waiting for people to, maybe a week or two later sell the pirated version. Maybe they'll get more asses in theater seats by doing it this way, and I don't blame them.
So what you're saying is you think that Chinese people are going to be more apt to go see this movie because they have their own special version of this movie that's just for them?
Mm-hmm.
Possibly.
Absolutely.
Okay. Pixar has dated and titled their Finding Nemo sequel as Finding Dory. Will hit theaters November 25th, 2015, and will focus on Ellen DeGeneres' Dory.
Obviously, they've signed on Ellen DeGeneres for this for sure, so that is a done deal. And I'll be the first to admit that I was kind of skeptical about the idea of a Finding Nemo sequel. When I hear this story, it just makes complete sense. I think this is a perfect idea.
Yep.
Think about it. When you watch,
I thought about it.
when you watch Finding Nemo, he runs into Dory in the middle of the ocean. Why is she by herself? Why does she know
It's
nobody
a fucking
else?
ocean. Who cares? I don't care.
Well, the
It's
thing about
big.
Dory's character is her flightiness and her short memory. So it makes complete sense that her character would now be the one that goes missing. I actually think this is a perfect idea for a sequel, because if Nemo had gotten lost again, zero chance of me going into a theater to see it. But Dory missing, I like that idea, and her character was my favorite in Finding Nemo.
Everybody's favorite.
So this is to me, this is actually really good news, and now I'm actually kind of hyped to see it.
Do you think maybe it's more like a psychological introspective, like finding Dory from the inside, like who she really is?
Who are you, Dory?
Who are you at the core?
I'm fine with the story. I think the issue is not so much the story. I think the issue is more that it's 12, 13 years later.
I agree. I mean, it's been a long time.
Yeah, it's
Did
not. It's past the point of being rebooted. We don't need a sequel at this point.
You could do Finding Nemo again.
It's been a long time, but I think these cartoons, though, in a lot of ways, are easier to come back to later, because you don't have any of the actors who are now fatter or have lost hair or just plain look older. Most of these people's voices are going to be the same that they were back when they did this, except for Nemo, of course. But the other characters, they're all CG created. They're all going to look as the same as they want them to, and I think that helps them as opposed to a live action film.
Plus, I saw the recent release, the 3D release in the theater. The movie still holds up. Obviously, it had 3D, but it looks really good.
Hey, if you guys want to see it, maybe more people want to see it. I think Pixar's milking the shit out of their franchises right now.
I thought the same way at first until I started hearing a little bit of the story, and I'm back on board.
So you're thinking their well of new fresh ideas are a little bit dry at the moment, so they're just kind of.
I'm kind of seeing that. I mean, some of the sequels they're making are something I used to be very proud of them for. As a consumer, was the fact that they didn't repeat themselves, and now lately they seem to be doing a lot of
So you
repeating.
think they're jumping the
Someone's got to
shark?
make up that money that John Carter lost.
That's true.
Did Pixar do The Incredibles?
Yes.
Yes.
So why not do a sequel to that? That one's got.
Dude, I wish.
We've talked about that one a lot, yeah. I think we're all in agreement on that. You could go so many story directions with The Incredibles.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, you could turn that into a trilogy or more, whatever. Spin-offs, all that. I mean, this could be a whole Fast and Furious type size
Nice segue. Nice
franchise.
segue. Paramount is now prepping G.I. Joe 3, and Vin Diesel went on Facebook proclaiming that Fast and Furious 7, yes, 7, will start shooting this summer. Is it too much?
I don't think so. I really don't. I think that for these kinds of movies, to me, are like popcorn, or to use a less tired cliche, maybe, they're candy. They're nothing but something that you consume quick. You really enjoy the shit out of it, and then it's done. And, a year later, boom, you get another one in, you nosh on it, it's great, and then you're done. These are not films that need a lot of time in between them so that they can finally craft, that story that's just going to be a revelation of the inner workings of these characters. This isn't Inception here. This isn't Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. These are popcorn action films. They make apparently quite a bit of money, and I think that if they know ahead of time that they're going to be doing these quickly, then they can get writing quicker, they can get people locked in faster, and make the whole process a little less painful. I'm excited to hear this. I liked so far all the Fast and Furious movies. Even the second and third one had little things about them that I liked. The sixth one looks fantastic. I'm sure the seventh one will be just as brainless, stupid, and fun. So yeah, I mean, keep the conveyor belt running.
Can I just tell you that
Paul Walker sure is hoping so.
Yes, Fast and Furious Inception sounds like the most genius fucking idea I've ever heard.
Street racing, you're driving one car, the next minute you're kicked out into an even faster car.
That's awesome. Street racing Dreamweavers. I love it.
Make it happen.
When did Vin Diesel become like Chris Tucker, where all he does is sequels to his shit? He doesn't do anything original anymore. He's got Riddick coming out. And he's doing 6, 7, 8, 14, whatever.
Well, he
Fast
had
and
a
Furious.
whole slew of like
But he's like
kid movies
he's
that
a
he
big
did.
star, and he hasn't done anything but Fast and Furious and Riddick in the last 5 years.
But I think Vin Diesel figured out that he can try and do, all of the Boiler Rooms or whatever those other films that he tried to do that had a little more story and character to them, that all of them made, just not that much money. He realized that the Hollywood had put him in a certain hole, and that hole was musclehead action star, and he probably would never be able to break out of it. So instead of fighting that system, fuck it, go with it, make these movies, make a lot of money, and then maybe at some point later take that money and put it into something that, some passion project. But for now, while the system is handing you gobs and gobs of cash, say, thank you, sir, I'll do another.
It worked for Christopher Lee.
Yeah.
That's true. You see how we're all talking about the Fast and Furious one? We're not really mentioning G.I. Joe 3, so I guess nobody's really dying for that one.
We'll get to G.I. Joe later on. Okay. I'm excited to see a third one. To me, it's the same kind of popcorn action, kind of leave your brain at the door kind of shit, and I enjoy those from quite often.
Welcome to Brian's Trailer Park. First one out of the gate is actually the second movie in the Percy Jackson series, Percy Jackson Sea of Monsters. Some of the worst titles for movies. I just got to put that in there.
Blame the books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now that Percy knows where he came from, everything's all good in the hood until his little haven for half-bloods is attacked, and it's up to the finest they have to go after the only item that can stop the pissed-off Kronos, and that's the Golden Fleece, which just so happens to be located in a quaint little area called the Sea of Monsters, also known as the Bermuda Triangle. Unfortunately, Percy isn't considered one of the finest, so he enlists his circle of friends, who most of them from the original movie, to help him track down the fleece. Now, Justin, I don't know if you saw the Percy Jackson movie, but does this arouse your Minotaur, or are you just happy to see Nathan Fillion?
No, my Minotaur is safely tucked away where it should be. I saw Percy Jackson, The Lightning Thief. I thought it sucked. I did not enjoy it. I've been tempted to read the books, but every time I look at them and read their synopses, I'm bored to tears. I don't know. I have seen and done Greek mythology so many times. It holds almost no interest for me outside of the God of War games. But really, just there's no interest. It's just average teen paranormal drama Drek. There's a million of these out there. This is bringing nothing new to the table.
Aaron,
I could not be more bored.
Did this seem like a kind of a teenage version of Wrath of the Titans?
First off, Nathan Fillion's in it, so that got my interest for like a minute. And but the rest of the trailer, yeah, it does. It really does.
Where's the clip, Justin?
I thought it was like a WB show.
Well, that is some fucked up shit.
I never saw the original movie, and it's not to say that I'm not glad. So I can't say whether the series is good or it's great that they're making a sequel. I have no idea. I know Chris Columbus did the first one, so that sounds like it would be a good thing. But honestly, I had no desire to see it. This looks cheesy. It looks like WB, and it doesn't look like it's a huge budget.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does look like a CW kind of show.
I'm sorry, CW. I forgot. WB is no more.
Now, I actually did see the first one, and I mean, I was kind of. It's one of those movies that I watched on cable, and then it was one of those that every time it's on cable, it ends up staying on the channel, and I end up watching it from wherever it's at. And I'll be honest, maybe it was brainwashed after about the 7 or 8 times that I watched parts of that movie, but I kind of like it. Now, I'm not crazy, I'm not major fanboy over it, but I can see to me it was entertaining. The special effects were as good as just about anything else that's out there. And I've always been a big fan of mythology and stuff. I mean, again, it's kind of, I've seen it all done a zillion times, but I still enjoy it. And I'm kind of looking forward to it a little bit. Got to be honest. Scotty, what'd you think?
Let us know how it is.
I went into the trailer super skeptical because I've never read the books, never saw the first movie, kind of like you guys. The beginning of the trailer actually showed some promise. I went in this thing, kind of captured my attention, gave me a feeling like, okay, you don't really have to have seen the first movie to get it. They give a good backstory of what's going on. And then the second half of the trailer just lost me. It seemed like a Harry Potter wannabe with a lower budget. Mm-hmm. It really did. I can't speak to the first one, Brian, because I haven't seen it. I might give it a shot, but I just have a hard time really getting into the story whatsoever.
I half expected Emma Watson to pop up and go, "Gotcha." It just seemed like it. I don't know.
I'm not gonna knock it. I'm just not super excited. Like I said, the trailer almost had me. I was like, "Oh, this sounds kind of interesting." And the final shot of the trailer was kind of cool. Where like, "Oh, tell me those aren't sharks." I thought that was kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, sure.
That was bad. I thought it was clever.
I'll wait till it's on the CW.
All right. Well, Percy Jackson, Sea of Monsters opens on August 16th. So now next up, we've got a DEA agent and a naval intelligence officer who are investigating each other, only to find out that they are set up by the same mob who happens to think they are both stealing from them. Two Guns stars Denzel Washington and Mark Wahlberg as the two quote-unquote good guys who are on the run after being disavowed by their respective offices and also being hunted by the cartel that they infiltrated, while basically the only people that they can count on is each other. It's definitely one of those, kind of like it's already been mentioned a couple of times, the turn off your brain buddy cop movie full of guns, explosions, crashing cars, and semi-witty banner. Aaron, I know you love these. Are you buying into this, or did the trailer kind of give away too much of the plot?
I'm perfectly happy contributing to the, dumbing down of America. I'm good with that because it looks fun. I just want to know when Mark Wahlberg got like smart with his career, because all of a sudden he's like this hot actor, and for years he was just kind of like he was in a kind of middling film. Now all of a sudden it's like blockbuster after blockbuster.
Still kind of playing the same character, but
I think that's really what he could do, but. He's still Marky Mark. You can't change
Didn't the beginning of the trailer kind of look like it was going to be Mr. and Mr. Smith a little bit?
Mr. and Mr. Smith.
That's what I could think of. But I thought I was so surprised by this trailer. I'm stoked to see this. I think it looks great.
It looks great. What is with Denzel's face from that facial hair, where he has like a goatee but no mustache? What is that? Is that some new trend that I'm missing?
I don't know.
Is that a chive thing?
I'm not saying anything because I rocked that for about half the year every year.
I was going to say, isn't that what Brian does?
I ain't dogging that.
Aaron, can you actually grow facial hair?
No, I can't.
Then don't be hating those who do and like to style it a little bit.
Thanks for bringing up my pain.
He grooms all three of them.
I do.
For me, Denzel Washington is the draw between these two. Pardon the pun. To the movie, it's got. I like it when these films can come in where there's enough drama that they can give a good kind of gritty performance, but enough comedic opportunities that they can also let loose a little bit. And it almost seems like the type of movie that Bay would have done, Michael Bay, back when he was doing his Bad Boys films. It had a little bit of that vibe, but man, this movie looks like a lot of fun.
Why?
I just feel like it tells you like the whole movie.
Oh, it does tell you the whole movie. Yeah.
I mean, even the end scene, I'm assuming, where the car blows up with all the cash in it, that's got to be at the very end of the movie.
Well, let's be honest, Brian. This isn't a movie that seems very deep, so it's okay.
It does look like a hell of a lot of fun, though.
Yeah.
Two Guns opens up on August 2nd, and you can catch these trailers and get your sweet-ass I'm a Ho t-shirts at thehollywoodoutsider.com. Tweet us at H_outsider. Reach us on Facebook at facebook.com/thehollywoodoutsider. And email us at feedback at thehollywoodoutsider.com.
Stump the Hoe.
Each week, one of our hosts poses a trivia question to the remaining hosts in an attempt to stump their fellow hoes, as well as you listening. This week, it is Scotty's turn. Scott?
All right, in a little short while, we're going to be talking about Scary Movie 5. I think Justin's going to bring that trailer up. I did some digging. I found something that I thought was kind of interesting about the original Scary Movie. So, in the original script of the first Scary Movie, there was supposed to be a cameo from an actor from a popular horror franchise. Which actor was supposed to be in that movie but never made it? Was it Robert Englund from the Nightmare on Elm Street series, Bruce Campbell from the Evil Dead series, Jamie Lee Curtis from the Halloween series, or Jeffrey Combs from the Reanimator series? Aaron?
I'm going to go with Jamie Lee Curtis.
All right, Justin?
I'm going to go with Robert Englund.
All right, and Brian?
Brian?
Hit that mute button,
Sorry,
bro.
Robert Englund.
Were you jerking off?
No, I had it muted while I was typing. So, because otherwise you hear, who's banging on the desk over there?
How do you want to do that?
It took you like 30 seconds to get to that mute button.
No, I wasn't even trying until you go, Brian. I was like, oh shit, it's muted.
The correct answer was Jamie Lee Curtis from Halloween.
Oh, booyah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, she was
I would
supposed
have
to.
figured she had stooped to that fucking shit.
That's probably why she didn't do it.
That's true.
But she was supposed to, in one of the funny scenes, she was supposed to go to a closet, and Jamie Lee Curtis was supposed to be in there in the closet, which was from the original Halloween movie.
Oh, that's funny. That would have been funny.
It would have been funny, but it didn't happen. So,
all right, let's go to the big screen. First up, let's review G.I. Joe Retaliation. Justin, what's it about? Tell me the story.
All right, kids, let's all just sit down so I can tell you the deep tale of G.I. Joe Retaliation. Picking up a little while after the first film, G.I. Joe Retaliation tells the story of our Joes being sent off to North Korea to perform a mission to get some nukes that might be used against us. After they've accomplished that mission, they're then set upon by sinister forces the G.I. Joes look to be done in. But wait, not just yet. Some Joes survive and they come back to retaliate against Cobra's forces, who have, of course, in the first film, Arnold Voslow's character, Zartan, has taken the place of the president. And so now with him in the Oval Office, he's now doing the bidding of Cobra Commander. Guys, we all have seen this film. Did you guys have as good a time with this dumbass story as I did? Anybody can just jump in.
Yes, there isn't a story, first of all. If there's a story, what you told me more than what I saw in the actual movie.
Yeah, I didn't get that much out of it. I love the whole premise of we're going to take over the world by dropping metal sticks on it.
Well, now let me defend this.
You could try.
Dropping massive titanium or tungsten rods into the earth from that distance would have a somewhat similar effect. It's not, everybody wants to see a laser or they want to see a missile. The thing is that, okay, I'm really going to go overboard. The asteroids, when they come and hit, the destruction they cause isn't because they blow up. It's because they hit the earth at such a speed that all of that kinetic energy that they're carrying gets transferred into the water or the rock or whatever it is they hit, and then all that energy blossoms out, causing an explosion. Tungsten rods of that size being dropped at that speed would have a similar effect. In a lot of science fiction movies, you'll see weapons like that, sometimes called like mass drivers.
Only Justin could offer the scientific validation of G.I. Joe.
There is justification for that sort of dumb fire weapon. No. But continue.
In all seriousness, though, I did laugh out loud on more than one occasion in this movie. But God, if it wasn't a blast to watch.
Well, first up, the cast is a lot different. You've got Channing Tatum in kind of a reduced role. The Rock is The Rock. I mean, I actually think I like him more in supporting roles. Mm-hmm. I don't know if everybody else feels that way, but whenever he's a star, I think it kind of takes away from the movie. But when he's in supporting role, I think he kicks ass. Mm-hmm. Ray Park as Snake Eyes, loved him.
He needs his own movie.
He does.
He really does.
Even though he's a glorified stuntman, Brian.
Yeah, he's fantastic martial artist. And stuntman, but I don't know about acting ability.
I don't need him to act. I don't need him to take off that helmet or say a fucking word.
So you mean
I just need about an hour and a half of him slicing fuckers in half, swinging around mountains, and just generally being a badass.
I did like Adrian Palicki.
I like
not in that way. I thought she was actually pretty good.
I thought she was forgettable. I thought she looked good, but I didn't think it was a great
performance. Really? I thought she was pretty good. I liked her whole story about her dad and what drove her to be who she is. And especially how it kind of ended. I liked it.
Now, what about the production? Director John Chu, He took this
Hey,
over.
I'm driving this fucking
You're not
boat.
driving it fast enough, Chief. You're just talking about the dynamics of rods and shit.
As far as the acting goes in this film, I know, Aaron, you already said that you don't think The Rock does a good job leading leading a film. He should always kind of be more of a flavoring on the side. But this is a pretty big ensemble cast between Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow and him and Bruce Willis and everybody else. Was there anybody in particular that you disliked that you liked quite a bit?
The RZA.
Oh, God, the fucking RZA.
I thought that was awesome.
Are you kidding me?
No, I loved it. It just it
my
had that cheesy kind of blaxploitation kind of vibe to it.
No, it didn't. It
No,
had
it
bad
didn't.
Yes,
acting.
I thought it was
No.
great.
You were mistaken, sir.
I didn't take that vibe from
Wow.
him either.
Oh, loved it.
I liked
the blind martial art master. Come on, that's
great character, horrible actor. That was like watching a homeless man try to do Shakespeare.
He had like 5 lines.
They were all awful.
And he ruined 6 of them.
Y'all are just racist.
That's how bad he was.
Y'all are just racist.
Are you serious? You racist. Oh, he's trying to pull out the card that stumps all. Throw out the race
Right.
card.
Am I the only one that really likes, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but Byung-Hoon Lee, the guy that played Storm Shadow?
He overacts
He did
a
a
little
good job.
bit.
I liked he's very cold but conflicted at the same time. I liked every time he was on screen. I really did.
I didn't think he had any face other than cold and conflicted. That was
But
it.
He didn't need it.
He
He didn't need
didn't
a
need
face.
to.
Did you see those
No,
freaking
he
abs?
Here's what I'm saying. I'm not arguing that he was great for the role. I'm just saying great acting is not what I would call it. I mean, he just was the same guy. He was just the same face the whole movie.
As far though as the production values on this thing, this one is much less of a cartoon than the first one was, where you had all those locations and fancy vehicles and fancy weapons and invisibility. Everybody just kind of zipping around and flying and the whole underwater battle. This one, even though it was, of course, cartoonish in its action, in its production quality and in its visual look, it was a lot more, Call of Duty than it was a cartoon. Did you guys like this kind of pared back production style? And did you like the look of the film overall?
I think he did a much better job than Steven Summers did, because I didn't like the first G.I. Joe at all.
Me either.
That ninja mountainside scene was one of the best action scenes in any movie I've seen in a long time.
And it was a long scene, too.
It was kick ass.
It was really
if the
good.
whole
I
movie
saw
would have
it,
been like that, fantastic.
I saw it IMAX 3D, and that
Same
was
here.
just
Yeah, I did
phenomenal.
too. Did you guys think the 3D was worth it?
I think if I watched it, watch it again in 2D, I don't think I would really miss a whole lot. But there was a few times where it did kind of help the perspective a little bit, I think. Especially the Firefly.
Oh, Firefly.
It was Firefly, not Zartan, but Firefly. That scene in particular kind of stood out to me, where the 3D really kind of made that look pretty cool. Especially with the Fireflies and then his bike breaking apart, and then you get the deep perspective there. So
We've had a lot of 3D as of late, where it's not like stuff coming out at you. It's more like in depth, like into the screen kind of thing. This one seemed to have a lot more stuff coming out at you a little bit, which I felt like I kind of missed a little bit. And it wasn't like overused or anything. It wasn't the whole movie. Just like 2 or 3 times where something came out, and I was like, "Whoa!" And
it kind of reminded you that, oh yeah, that's right, I am watching 3D.
Right. I enjoyed it because a lot of times you watch these movies and like Brian just said, you kind of forget the novelty wears off 10 minutes into it because now we're just looking into a movie. But it's like a good reminder. I like that.
It's one of the hardest movies I've ever had to review, because there's just it's very entertaining, but it's so fucking retarded.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you have to. I mean, you've got to know going into it that you've got to check your brain at the door.
That's not check your brain. It's take your brain off and kickstart it down the fucking hallway, because it's not required at all.
All right, well, let's go ahead and give our verdicts then. $1 to $10. What do you guys feel like is the price you would pay to go and see this film, Aaron?
Stupid, dumb, loud, fuck the RZA, but it's entertaining. So if $10 is the full price, I give it 6.
Okay, Brian.
Wow, that's kind of surprisingly low from you. I'm going to go with a 7.5.
Scotty.
It's got to be the dumbest movie I've seen in a long time that I had a blast watching. Just needs a better story. I give it a 5.50.
Wow.
Good Lord. Y'all are some haters.
I've got some issues with the story. I mean, granted, you shouldn't go looking for a good story, but the fact that there was absolutely no mention of two of the major characters from the first movie, one of them supposedly the best friend of Duke, not even mentioned why they're not there, and the fact that by the end of the first film, G.I. Joe looked like it had its own Navy, Air Force, and Army. Suddenly one division, one unit gets blown up, and that's the end of G.I. Joe. Kind of makes no sense either. But those things said, I thoroughly enjoyed the action, and that's what I went to see this movie for. And because of that, I'd give it, as Brian did, I'd give it a 7.5. It could have been better, but I think they're being smart. They're cutting back on the production, saving some money in the hopes of getting more money out of the theaters. And that's why we're going to be getting a third one.
I think, honestly, if I wouldn't have just seen Olympus Has Fallen, and that was so much more of a fun, dumb action movie, this would have been better. This would have rated a little higher.
How have we not talked about Bruce Willis?
Because
he's so little.
He's only in there like 8 minutes.
I know.
Something. I mean, he's
I
barely
think he's
in
there almost only for his name.
Yeah.
And he still
and
acted
his
better
face
in that
on
one than he
poster.
did Die Hard.
Yeah, that's true.
I will say that this one did make me like the first one a little less.
And Scotty, you've got one movie on DVD called The Sessions.
Yeah, real quick. This one came out a while ago, but I got a chance to watch it this last week. The Sessions is it's about a 38-year-old man named Mark, who's played by John Hawkes. He's been in an iron lung since he was very young. He's educated. He's real funny, but he's never had sex due to his condition. And he sets on a mission to lose his virginity before he's, as he says, out of his prime. So with the help of his therapist and his priest, who's played brilliantly by William H. Macy, Mark contacts Cheryl, played by Helen Hunt, and she is what they call a sex surrogate to help him with his problem. Cheryl is actually married, has a son, and is not a prostitute, which she explains very well in the movie, and it's actually kind of entertaining how she does that. Mark and Cheryl meet for 6, quote, sessions to make him a man, so to speak. And what makes this movie really interesting to me is seeing a middle-aged man experience a trauma and wonder of experiencing sexual situations for the first time, much like a teenager would. And what develops in this story is a very interesting relationship between Mark and Cheryl that goes a different way than you might think. It's really a genuinely sweet movie that I really hope you guys would give a chance. I thoroughly enjoyed it. My wife enjoyed it, which really surprised me. I gave it an 8 out of 10. I enjoyed it that much. Just as an FYI, if you go into it, it is very graphic. There's both
Graphic, like
visually
sexually?
visually and audibly.
Isn't that the movie that Helen Hunt's naked through the whole movie in?
She's naked quite a bit in it, so that's not why I'm giving it an 8 out of 10.
Right.
By any means, I seriously was surprised at how much I enjoyed this movie. I was surprised how much my wife enjoyed it too. So I really hope you guys check it out. It's worth a rental.
Okay. Now let's go to box office. G.I. Joe Retaliation was number one with $40.5 million. That's made $51 million since it opened on the Thursday before because they decided to open all weird. Worldwide, though, it had the biggest worldwide opening of the year with $130 million total.
Damn.
Bigger than Oz's opening worldwide. So that's actually pretty impressive. The Croods was number two, with 26.7 million, down only 39% for 88.9 million. So that's Nicolas Cage's biggest hit in forever. Tyler Perry's Temptation, Confessions of a Marriage Counselor, God damn, why do I keep saying number one? Number three.
It's the equivalent of Little League Baseball. Everybody gets an award.
You're number one. You're number one.
You're swell.
It was the number one Tyler Perry movie this week.
It's a good thing they didn't give participation awards at the podcast awards.
21.6 million. That's actually shocked a lot of people. On Easter Sunday, they're watching a bunch of horrors. Man, nice. Olympus Has Fallen. What?
It's just a very cynical way of looking at it.
You know what? If it was Fatal Attraction, we'd be calling Michael Douglas a whore. Why can't we call this chick a whore? I don't get it. Number 4, Olympus Has Fallen, 14.1 million. So it's got 54 million. G.I. Joe really kicked its ass. Oz is still hanging in there. It's still at number 5. 11 million for 198 million. It's already hit 200 million. They're saying it's going to do about $500 million worldwide.
So it's a hit.
And The Host, 10.6 million is all it made. Yeah, better do Twilight 8. Better get on that shit.
That was horribly marketed, and like you mentioned off air, like it just wrong time of year to do that.
I think if it would have came out in summer, it would have been a hit.
Yeah. Everybody wants to see that movie in school or going to church on Easter.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree with that. Except apparently a lot of people took Easter off to go see Tyler Perry's Temptation.
Well, those are marketed too, though. One's an adult movie and one's very much teen film.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, guys, we have got 4 films that we're going to be discussing opening up on April 12th. The first one, To the Wonder. This is a romantic dramedy written and directed by Terrence Malick. Stars Ben Affleck, Olga Kurylenko, Rachel McAdams, and Javier Bardem. The film premiered in competition at the 2012 Venice Film Festival. Interestingly enough, Christian Bale was originally cast for Affleck's part, but he dropped out. No reason as to why. After visiting Mont Saint-Michel, Michelle, Neil, played by Affleck, and Marina, played by Kurylenko, come to Oklahoma, where problems arise. Marina meets a priest and fellow exile who is struggling with his vocation, while Neil renews his ties with a childhood friend, Jane, played by McAdams. Aaron, for some reason, among the 4 of us, you seem the most kind of art house type, so I think this might appeal more to your sense of wonder. Am I wrong?
Did you really just make that joke?
Yes.
Touche.
You should be used to it by
Touche
now.
for having the balls to try to pull that off. Did you say it's Terrence Malick?
Yes.
Now I don't want to see it. I actually did want to see it before that. I am an avid disliker of Terrence Malick.
I don't know who that is. What did he do?
He's a director. He's done a lot of art house movies. You wouldn't know any of them.
I'll tell you. I don't see movies. I'm not a movie podcast or anything.
Well, you just started one. I ain't got time to catch up. Most of his movies are over 2 years old.
For that?
He's a very avant-garde director. He's very respected by the Academy for some of the stuff he's done. I've never liked him. I mean, I can barely remember anything about his films because they bored the shit out of me. So, as much as I kind of wanted to see it just from the cast before, now I'm turned off.
I really wanted to like this movie, but the trailer gives me nothing to be interested in other than the actors that I recognize. This seems like a movie that 15 years ago, the kind of girl I wanted to date probably would have liked, but I wouldn't want to see myself. I'd rather be watching something else, but I would be forced to watch it because she did, if that makes sense.
Once again, we're back to your pain. Seriously.
No. It's not. There's nothing painful about that.
It's like, if I want to hit that, I got to watch this.
Yeah. I wouldn't purposely watch this movie. Again, I don't know as much, obviously, from Justin's synopsis. It's, the trailer gave literally nothing.
Here's a couple. The Tree of Life, The New World, The Thin Red Line. That's one most people have seen.
I've seen Thin Red Line.
I just don't like him.
Yeah, same here. Those are the 3 movies that come to mind when I think of him, and I just don't like it, and I don't plan on giving this one the time of day.
Yeah.
I wonder what I'll be doing besides seeing that movie.
I wonder as well. All right, second film, Disconnect. Now, this is a drama directed by Henry Alex Rubin. It stars Jason Bateman, Hope Davis, Alexander Skarsgård, and Max Thurrott. The movie also marks the acting debut of fashion designer Marc Jacobs. Ooh. People struggle to connect using modern technology. An up-and-coming reporter hopes her interview with an underage chat room worker will be her big break. A teenager faces the consequences of cyberbullying, and a couple who recently lost their child struggle after their identities are stolen online. Now, Brian, with that backwoods internet you have to deal with, Disconnect is something you're more than familiar with. You care to go to the movies and see more?
Actually, this movie looks, I think, pretty good. I don't know if I'm going to take a jaunt off to the theater to go see it, but I do like the fact that Jason Bateman is doing something besides the goofy comedies. He's done enough of. He's good at them. That is his niche, and he's hilarious. But I like him. I like to see his acting abilities in something else. I think this is a good possibility here. I mean, you got other people like Alexander Skarsgård, Frank Grillo, who we all liked in The Gray.
The Gray, yeah.
I've never heard of him, but there's a kid named Jonah Bobo. I just like the last name Bobo.
Jonah Bobo.
Yeah, so that alone just about gets me into theater. So
I could be wrong, but I think it's pronounced Terrio. Is it not Max Terrio?
Terrio, yeah.
Not Thurrott or whatever Justin said.
I thought it was Thoreau. No,
Terrio is. I'm pretty sure it's Terrio. I could be wrong. Correct. Write in to us and let us know if
I would say my guess would be Terrio.
Please send us a link to an YouTube clip that
how to pronounce that name.
Properly pronounce that. Yes.
All I know is Henry Rubin. Now he's a director I do follow. I don't know who the fuck he is.
Okay.
This movie looks good. Jason Bateman, a dramatic role. I think he is a strong dramatic actor that doesn't get enough opportunity. You can see it, and I'm telling you, from Identity Thief, it sounds stupid, but from Identity Thief, there's several moments where he had serious dramatic parts in that dumbass comedy. I think this is the kind of movie he should be doing.
You guys pretty much echoed exactly what I was saying.
All right, well, good. We can move on. Scary Movie 5. Now, this is a horror comedy parody. It's the first installment of the franchise not to feature Anna Faris or Regina Hall, both of whom appeared in all 4 of the first 4 movies. Instead, this one stars cinematic luminaries such as Lindsay Lohan, Charlie Sheen, Jerry O'Connell, and Ashley Tisdale. So you got a quality cast lined up. Oh, as though the story means fuck all. A couple begin to experience some unusual activity after bringing their newborn son home from the hospital. With the help of home surveillance cameras and a team of experts, they learn they're being stalked by a nefarious demon. Scotty, I have no idea if you're a fan of these movies, and I'm really kind of hoping you're not. Do you agree with me that 5 scary movies is 5 way too many?
This was a cute idea 4 movies ago. It just needs to stop. They have gotten progressively worse. I have absolutely no desire to see this.
Who does? Didn't this movie just come out with the Wayans not too long ago?
Yeah.
It's for idiot teenagers who have nothing better to do with their day. It's either this or go tag shit.
I'd rather they go tag shit. I'd rather they graffiti
this is
not my house, but my neighbor's house.
Go create art. Don't watch this shit.
The notion of going to see this, it scares the hell out of me, because all I can see is sitting in the theater and there's nothing but phone screens lit up all through the... Because nobody's watching it. Like you say, it's just a bunch of kids. Yeah, it's just a bunch of kids hanging out and talking and blah, 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 texting and
With that
playing
said,
on Facebook on their phones.
When you're in high school, this is a kind of movie you go to see to go talk to your friends after you've seen it about the scenes that you saw that were funny and dirty and that kind of thing.
Or talk to them
that's
while
what
you're
it's
watching
for.
it.
Or while you're watching it, yeah. Because now you got Facebook and texting and Twitter and all that kind of stuff. You won't see me in the theater to see this. I don't even know if I'd watch this on cable.
I might go just so I can yell at them, like, get off my lawn, sons of bitches.
You do that now.
It's true.
Just so you can get a good mad on.
I'm telling you, I don't... Why do they make this? Seriously.
Apparently they make money because dumbasses got money to spend.
I checked. It's been 7 years since the last one. Who called the Weinsteins and said, you know what we need, guys? Seriously. Been getting a lot of clamoring from people.
How did 4 do that? It wasn't even...
No, 4 was a big hit, but that was 7 years ago. The whole culture's changed. And you just had a Wayans movie that was almost the exact same plot, if you want to use the term plot.
Weren't the Wayans in the original Scary movies?
Yeah. No, they were in, I think, like the second or third.
No, they were in
He was in the first one and the second
Were
one.
they in the first?
Yeah, he was the one that was teaching her how to dance a little bit.
I've never seen any of them.
Oh, the
I've
first
seen
one's
bits
really
of them
funny.
on cable, and that's terrible.
The first one was actually
really
pretty good.
funny.
And
It was very raunchy, but it was really
Yeah.
funny. Yeah.
Oh, that's right, because it had Carmen Electra running through the sprinkler. That's right.
Yeah.
That's
That
what
was worth watching.
reminds you.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on from this dreck. Last film, 42. This is a biographical film about the life of baseball player Jackie Robinson. It's directed by Brian Helgeland and will star Chadwick Boseman as Robinson. The film will also star Harrison Ford, Christopher Maloney, and John C. McGinley. This is the second filmization of Robinson's life, the first being the 1950 film The Jackie Robinson Story, starring Jackie Robinson himself. The film tells the life story of Jackie Robinson, and under the guidance of team executive Branch Rickey, who Harrison Ford plays, Robinson signing with the Brooklyn Dodgers to become the first African-American player to break the baseball color line. While I totally respect Jackie Robinson and what he did, not only for baseball, but for the country, my complete apathy toward the sport compels me to stay as far away from theaters in this film as possible. Are any of you guys up for a good biopic?
I actually am. I'm not a big baseball fan. I'll go to an occasional Brewers fan, but I love baseball movies, and I don't know why. Moneyball, we reviewed a couple years ago. I love that movie. I'm gonna have to check this one out. I think it looks great, especially for Harrison Ford's role. It looks like he's working out of his comfort zone a little bit in that, and I really want to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I love baseball movies. Same thing. The whole Jackie Robinson story is really good. There's a reason why every year they have a Jackie Robinson Day, and everybody on every team wears the number 42. Yeah. Anyway, it's a great story. I think it's one that a lot of people know Jackie Robinson, but they don't know exactly what all he went through, and it's just more than hearing some racial slurs yelled at him and stuff. It's hard to be the best at your profession when you're constantly getting death threats and other things. So,
Yeah.
and even the people that your coworkers don't want you there. So it's a tremendous story. I think it's one that should be seen. May not have to go see it at the theater. Wait till cable or something if it's not necessarily your cup of tea. But it's definitely, I think it's an important film to watch for the story.
I think it's one, and I will be honest, I will probably wait until it comes out on video. I'm going to try and see it if I can, but I really think Disconnect is more my cup of tea. The story itself is fantastic, and I think if you have kids, like if my kids were young, I would make them go, because I do think it's an important story they need to see. Because people, if you don't remember this stuff or you don't see this stuff, a lot of kids today, they're not going to think anything of it. And I think it's important for them to know that. It's a great story. He was a great man. He did a lot not for the sport, because I could give a rat's ass about baseball or baseball movies unless Charlie Sheen's in it playing Wild Thing. I don't care.
That's right.
But he's a great man. He really was.
And
I think he did more than Malcolm X, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I sincerely believe that. I'm sorry if that offends someone, but it was much more of a popular medium, and it really crossed a lot of boundaries that to that point had not been crossed. And
yeah. So baseball was huge at that time of our country.
It was.
I mean, baseball, there's so many other sports going on right now, but baseball was the American sport during that time. That was...
I can tell you, I remember hearing stories from my grandfather about what a wonderful man Jackie Robinson was, and what he did for race in America. And he lived through that era, so I'm thinking if he thought it did more than what a lot of other people think, the other guys did. Oh, I'm sorry. Why don't you go on and tell me about your fucking life, Brian?
That's Justin. Fucking asshole. I had your back.
Oh, shit, I'm sorry.
Brute.
I assumed Aaron was still waxing philosophical about the African-American condition.
I
Please.
mean, I realize it's not as captivating as...
Unlike you, Justin, I've actually been exposed
to space satellite.
I was just going to say, go drop some metal sticks on something else. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that, Doctor.
Hey, I was just correcting Scotty and his misconception. Please continue. I'm sorry.
Misconception.
You were quite poetic.
Mm-hmm. Just go ahead. It's fine. I want to see it.
Awesome. All right, fellas. We'll have these 4 films opening up on April 12th. To the Wonder! Disconnect, Scary Movie 5, and 42. Which one are you most likely to go see in theaters? Aaron, please say 42.
I will say Disconnect.
You fucking asswipe. All right, Scotty.
42.
Brian.
42.
Shit, I gotta go to the theater then with Aaron. Disconnect it is. I hate baseball so much. I don't even want to watch a movie about it. I can't. I hate that sport. Disconnect. Boom. 2-2.
I'll be honest. I'll probably see both of them. But Disconnect is one I want to see the most. I already know the story of 42.
There you go.
Where you can hear us, subscribe on iTunes, Zune, Google Reader while you still have it, your Stitcher Radio app, and give us a thumbs up if you do, or any plain old RSS feed, as well as RockfordCollegeRadio.com Thursdays from 4 to 6.
What's this movie?
What's this movie? Each week we play ours or listeners' suggested clip from a movie, and if you think you know what the clip is, email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com, or send us a direct message on Twitter at @H_outsider, and we will announce those that got it correct on the air and give you a proper shout-out. Last week was my pick, and it was Army of Darkness. And more of you people should have sent in and said that you got it, because that's an awesome clip. Awesome.
How many votes did we, correct answers did we get?
4.
What?
One of the most classic frickin' scenes of film history. We got 4.
Well, come on.
Maybe you should give it on our T-shirt, because that hasn't happened in a while.
Yeah, well. Michael H., Sean M., Ben A., and Greg S., congratulations. You guys are awesome. Fantastic. And this week it's Justin's turn. So if you think you know what this is, email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com. And it's kind of a hard one. So here's your clip.
That's what she said.
Why'd you do it?
Our job was to select someone to speak for everybody. I just couldn't in good conscience vote for a person who doesn't believe in God. Someone who honestly thinks the other 95 99% of us suffer from some form of mass delusion.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Let's go to the couch before Justin gets too excited. Where we talk about TV and home video news. Okay, we know the CW is having a hard time finding any kind of a hit show, but now they're actually resurrecting Whose Line Is It Anyway? Do you guys think it's time to like just fold the schedule into some other network?
No, I liked Whose Line Is It Anyway? I like seeing really talented improvers getting to use that skill set to make something really funny. And I think the CW has probably figured out that trying to appeal solely to the tween audience is not going to allow them to continue to be a network. And so they're having to reach beyond that audience and beyond the kind of traditional programming they've gone with to try something new. And, well, new in the sense for them. And so they're bringing this show back. It's going to have Aisha Tyler hosting the show, who I think is incredibly talented and really funny. So I'm hoping that, you know, her and I believe they're bringing back a lot of the original improvers to be in this one, which is a great move. I'm kind of excited to see it. I think she's great. I think the show is funny. I'll check this out.
I liked it also, but I felt that it was just after so many episodes, it was kind of like it was just getting old with those.
Yeah, they have to find a way to stop it from being boring and the same thing every fucking week.
Right. And I thought part of that
Brian,
was...
I keep wanting to interrupt you. I don't know why it is.
But part of that, I mean, was I thought I would like to have seen a more rotating cast than the four people that it was like they always had on there.
Yeah, I think
agree.
they're bringing back Wayne Brady, Ryan Stiles, and Colin Mockery, who were in the first show.
And
if they bring it back for the first little bit, then maybe bring in new people after that.
That's what scares me. And I hate to be that guy that's like, oh, I like the SNL series when it was my group of people or whatever, but I have a hard time thinking that anybody else is going to be as funny as that group, those guys.
Seriously? There are a lot of talented improv comics out there.
Yeah, but part of it was the way that those guys work together. You got Colin.
I see what Scott's saying.
I can see it.
And Wayne Brady, and I mean.
But you know what? They were canceled after just a couple of seasons for a reason.
Because a lot of that might have been
they were engaging enough, no matter how good their chemistry was, that nobody was watching it.
But I think a lot of that could have been the format, like we were talking about earlier. They did a lot of the same jokes over and over. How many times are you going to do the Irish drinking game and the same setups over and over again? Come up with something different.
Like you need to have it on something a little bit more liberal than the CW. And by liberal, I mean something where you can have very
raunchiness,
yeah.
And by the way, most of their shows on the CW, almost all of the cable shows that we end up talking about, have higher ratings than their shows, than their like entire slate of shows. Most of their shows get less than 2 million viewers every episode.
It's a CW experiment. We'll see how it goes.
I'll check it out, but I'm not hopeful.
We're going to talk about Walking Dead and Game of Thrones after the show, but each one of them had record ratings. The finale for Walking Dead had 12.4 million, and Game of Thrones had 4.4 million, respectively, and 6.7, I think, for the whole night with repeats and stuff. For cable and pay cable, those numbers are absolutely huge. And Walking Dead, in particular, beat every other show on. And in the 18 to 49, which is like the big advertisers demographic, beat shows like Big Bang Theory. I mean, do you guys think the big four networks are dead?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's we've kind of talked about this before, and I think I've actually took the stance that they're on their way to being dead. But I the more I kind of think about it, I don't think so. There's for all of these shows, for each one of these Walking Dead and Game of Thrones, there's a lot of shows on these channels that don't get these types of ratings. And while the networks might not have a single show that gets these types of ratings, they've got a lot that get lesser ratings, but still higher ratings than most of these other shows that channels like AMC and A&E and all these others that they run for most of their stuff. So, yeah, Walking Dead and Game of Thrones are huge, but I'm telling you, Survivor, The Voice, which is awesome this season, by the way. Just got to give my shout out for Usher and Shakira.
I'm sure they're both listening.
They are. Mm-hmm. They told me. But they've got a lot more shows that still get higher ratings than like shows like Girls or Hell on Wheels and shows like that.
That's fair.
The ones that aren't quite as drawing the audience numbers like Walking Dead and Game of Thrones.
Well, they're not free. Well, AMC is on cable, but HBO is a premium. Obviously, less people are going to watch that, or isn't it?
Yeah, some people and there's half of this podcast falls into this category, but some people will not or cannot pay for cable in the way that it's currently offered.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Well, real quick before we move on, we talked a little bit about it last week, and I think we even got into a little bit of a scuffle. But now it's official. Jay Leno is stepping down. Him and his chin are going away as host of The Tonight Show, and Jimmy Fallon is set to inherit his spot in spring 2014, and the show's also going to move back to New York. So, hoo-ah, I guess. Anybody care one way or the other?
I just think it's funny that the one thing that got us in the most heated argument in forever is the one thing that none of us watch.
That's true. Now we're going to did you see that? That's where we talk about anything that's catching our eye on TV. Justin, you've been dying to talk about it. What the hell is Continuum?
Continuum is a show it's a Canadian science fiction series that is airing in the U.S. on the Sci-Fi channel, or Sci-Fi, but
Sci-Fi.
Fuck that channel. It's got so little to go for it. This show actually being one of them. And of course, Sci-Fi didn't create it or produce it. They just downloaded it from Canada. So of course it's good. But before I get off on too much of a jag, it's a science fiction series. It's about 10 episodes for the first season. It stars Rachel Nichols in what I think is easily her best performance ever. And it's about her character. It starts off in 2077, where the corporations have taken over the governments of Canada, basically the entire world, because the corporations had to bail out the governments, so they've actually taken over. She is a police officer, and in the opening episode, a group of terrorists called Liberate are about to be executed for their crimes against the corporate government. They managed to escape using a time travel device, and as she reaches out to try and stop them, she's of course sucked into this time travel with them. Takes her all the way back to 2012, and now she has to work with the local police to try and stop them from doing whatever it is that they went back in time to do. I love this show for a number of reasons. Rachel Nichols is fantastic. She is so beautiful and so smart. She's not one of those actors who tries to play smart, but there's something in their face or their delivery that just isn't convincing. You don't think they can be nearly smart or as capable as their characters need to be, but she does. She's perfectly cast. The special effects are just enough to look good without going overboard, and everything starts to look too cheesy. The thing that I really love about it is that the terrorists in this show are actually a group of bad guys that I can actually kind of understand and sympathize with, because their whole thing is that they're tired of the corporations running the government and curbing freedoms and liberties, and they want to return the government to the people. That's something I think everybody, all red-blooded American people can get behind. The government being put back into the hands of its citizens, not being controlled by the corporations. But they're terrorists doing it. I mean, that's what they're labeled, and she's having to try and stop them. It's a fantastic show. I really enjoyed it. It's 10 episodes for the first season. They're going to start up season 2 in June of this year, June 7th. I loved it. I cannot wait to see the next season. I'm really curious where they're going to go with it, because the story really starts looping around on itself. Half the time you don't know who's good and who's really bad.
Is it on Netflix or anything?
I don't know if it's on Netflix. I actually downloaded it through iTunes, but I would have to assume that soon, if it's not already, that it will be, because pretty much everything else Sci-Fi does is on Netflix.
And real quick, two of my one's not really my favorite show, but one's a show I like, Castle, and my favorite show, Psych, had their 100th episodes this past week.
Wait, Psych is your favorite show?
On television, absolutely.
Like currently or of all time? Or
not of all time, but currently.
Huh.
But honestly, they both did movie-themed episodes for their 100th episode, and both of them were two of my favorite movies. Castle did a Rear Window episode, which was fucking awesome, even though I hardly ever watch the show, anymore. Just 'cause
I stopped watching Castle.
it's very
a long time
procedural,
ago.
so,
yeah.
every episode's the same. But I tuned in for that one because it was Rear Window themed, and it was perfect. As you guys know, it's my favorite movie of all time, so the fact that they pay homage to Jimmy Stewart and every little scene in the movie was great.
You like Rear Window?
Shut up.
I didn't know.
Yeah, it's my favorite
Psych?
movie. Favorite movie of all time. And Psych did their 100th episode, and they did it as a Clue theme, the movie Clue from 1985 or 86. And Scott, you actually saw that one too. So, dear God, I don't want to hype it too much because everybody knows I hype Psych too much. So, what did you think?
It really was pretty good.
Was it?
Even the opening sequence where they introduce the actors that are in the show as all like Clue cards, but not like exactly like it. They kind of did like a little off where
Their
they were
version
colored,
of
their
it.
version of it, so that it wasn't like stealing it completely. But they had actual actors from the movie, and I'll be honest, I watch Clue once a year. Actually, at a friend's house, it's like a birthday tradition that we do with him. So I've seen the movie several times, and I love it. We watch all 3 endings. And they made so many little nuances from that movie in this. Some of the actors are in it. Some of the story tropes are in it. There's just so many little things that were like, oh, yeah, I remember that from that. And little things that if you haven't seen the movie, you wouldn't get.
The thing that was funniest about it is because if you're a big fan of Psych, it's not like a Psych episode at all. Because my wife, she loves Psych, but we're watching this and she didn't get a lot of the jokes. So then she'd never seen the Clue movie, so I made her watch that. She started like, now I get it. There was a lot of that.
She's got the perspective that we don't have the opportunity to do.
Yeah, because I already got the jokes, and I'm
Right.
sitting there going, why aren't you laughing? That shit was funny as hell. And then, when you go back and she saw the movie, she said, oh my God, that's really funny, because they have so many throwbacks to the Clue movie, which I was actually kind of surprised at. For their 100th episode, they're actually just paying homage to a different movie.
They had almost like a hip-hop version of the singing telegram at the very beginning where she called him a douchebag. That was awesome. That was really good. And the fact that they got Christopher Lloyd to say "Great Scott" and not get sued. Somehow.
Yes. Christopher Lloyd pops in, Leslie Ann Warren, and Martin Mull from the original movie, and he throws in a Great Scott, and I knew Scott was gonna just go hee.
And Martin Mull.
Yeah, it's Martin Mull.
He was the funniest character in this episode. I didn't even realize it was him until I looked it up.
Yeah, he played Colonel Mustard in the movie, and you can't understand half of what he says in the entire episode.
He's drunk the whole time.
Because he's drunk the whole time.
Yeah.
That's great.
It really was good. I know you guys are naysaying on the show because Aaron talks about it so much, but it was, even if you're not a big fan of this show, it's worth watching. It was a pretty clever episode.
Especially if you're a fan of Clue.
Yeah, if you like Clue.
Now let's go to DVD and Blu-ray, Scotty.
All right, we're looking at releases for April 9th. We got 4 that I have honestly never heard of. But the first one is Hyde Park on the Hudson. This is the story of the love affair between FDR and his distant cousin, yes, I said cousin, Margaret Daisy Suckley.
Go ahead. I'm trying not to make bad jokes.
Cousin Suckley? Is that what you're going to?
Just go.
It's centered around the weekend in 1939 when the king and queen of the United Kingdom visited upstate New York. It
How
stars...
distant of a cousin are we talking?
I don't know, second, third, fourth?
Because Brian backed me up. There is a certain distance of cousin. That's okay.
Hey, if they live 2 states over, that's good enough.
Two
that's one
states over.
Distance. Oh, my bad.
The film does star Bill Murray and Laura Linney.
If they have to travel more than 2 counties, it's all right.
Next up is Sorcerer and the White Snake, a master
Jet
monk.
Li.
What's that?
The Jet Li movie.
Here I go again on my own. Wait. A master monk tries to protect a naive young physician from a 1,000-year-old snake demon.
Going down the only road I've ever known.
Look what I've started. A contest of psychic powers results in mayhem. It does star Jet Li. That's the only actor I recognize.
I hope he slides across a car.
Yeah?
Good Jet Li.
Yeah, wouldn't that be
With
great?
Honey Katane following after him.
That would be great.
Next up is Bad Kids Go to Hell. Judd Nelson is in this movie. You might recognize him from
that's
The
great.
Breakfast Club. On a stormy Sunday afternoon, 6 students from Crestview Academy begin to meet horrible fates as they serve out their detentions. Is a fellow student to blame, or perhaps Crestview's alleged ghosts are behind the terrible acts?
You were trying way too hard.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Mystery Science Theater.
Also is for TV, the TV show Boss. The 2nd season is out. It's a Starz TV series starring Kelsey Grammer. And lastly, we've got House of Cards. Although it's not available yet, it is officially announced that the home video release will be available on June 11th.
Ooh, yeah. Hit me with that unknown shit. Flashback.
With that, we'll move on to our flashback segment. This is where once a week one of us hosts brings a movie to the table that is little known or obscure that we'd hope that you, our listeners, as well as the rest of us hosts, give a chance. This week it is Aaron's turn. So, Aaron, what movie do you have for us?
All right, my flashbeak. My flashback this week is a little odd, especially for a sarcastic genre fan like me. The movie I'm recommending to you is a documentary, but I think it's very inspiring. It's called I Am. Has anybody seen this?
Mm-mm.
Of course not. Well, Tom Shadyac was one of the hottest. It's not about Jesus.
Did you say hottiest?
It's not one of those I am second fucking bullshit.
No,
billboards?
it's not.
Okay.
Tom Shadyac was one of the hottest directors in Hollywood, having directed films such as Ace Ventura, The Nutty Professor, Liar Liar, among others. And he basically lived in excess, endured his life, he had the greatest life, until he experienced this life-threatening head injury, which caused him to pause and ask himself two very important questions, which were, what's wrong with our world and what can we do about it? It sounds really hokey and cheesy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does. I know it does, but it's not. I actually watched this against my better judgment because somebody told me it's good, and I'm like, whatever. It's not one of those preachy documentaries. It's one of those rare films that watching just might change how you see things, and I'm not exaggerating that. He talks with numerous geniuses of our time, trying to identify real solutions to real problems, all the while reflecting on his choices in his own life. So you guys can mock me all you want, but I'm telling you, take a chance. It's 90 minutes of your time, and I'm assuring you it's worth it. It's called I Am, is the name of the movie. It's sincerely one of the most smart and heartfelt documentaries I've ever seen.
Is it on Netflix?
No, it's not, but it's available on DVD pretty cheap, so pick it up. Now let's go to our From the Outside In topic. Every once in a while, we like to look at a genre of film we're fans of and point out the shit that we wish would just please change about it. It's always a fun topic, so before we gear up for Iron Man 3 and all the other shit, Wolverine and everything else coming out, the rest of the comic book flick genres that are hitting this summer, what cliches or plot points from comic book adaptations cause us to facepalm? Just go, oh, shit. Just to give an idea, I'll start it out. Why in every frickin' comic book flick does the hero have to tell 27 people who he is? Isn't it supposed to be like a secret identity of some sort? I'm just asking. Anyone? I mean, in Spider-Man 2, he shows an entire train.
Well, fuck, he couldn't help that.
Well, he could have tried a little harder.
I mean, his mask came off. I was actually going to go with the opposite of that. Why don't they tell people more often?
Or why don't more people just figure this shit out?
Yeah, I mean, a pair of sunglasses is not going to conceal Superman's identity. I'm sorry.
Sunglasses.
Sunglasses, eyeglasses, whatever.
In Brian's version, he's a much cooler.
He's blonde.
Yeah, it's like Mad Men, you know, but he's Superman. I mean, if all of a sudden I gained some sort of superpower, you a-holes would be the first people that I would call. Hey, dude, I can create stuff just out of thin air. Like,
that's a really good point.
What do you want?
And for 2 out of you 3, I would FaceTime you and show you. But
hey, I'm on Skype. I'm just not on this Skype channel.
Crappy Droid phones.
Oh, FaceTime.
Oh, ouch.
Here's the one that bugs me. In all these superhero movies, you've got the hero that is going out fighting justice and stopping all these crimes, but the cops hate him.
That's true.
Why? He's doing good, and he's a vigilante, and he's doing evil.
He's doing their job, man. He's doing their job.
It drives me crazy. Team up with him instead of like trying to hunt him down and kill him.
Well,
Seriously.
you know, I mean, I can kind of get some of the reasoning why a police force might not want to sanction someone like that, because they're not, you know, the superhero doesn't have to follow Miranda rights. They're not held accountable to the same standards of procedure and chain of evidence and blah, blah. I can see how that might gum up the works. Though on the down low, I could see them working, you know, kind of turning a blind eye. I mentioned last week that I'd watched that Punisher Warzone. And one of the things I liked about it is that the 2 police officers that meet up with the Punisher throughout a couple parts of the movie, both of them either offer assistance outright or just kind of turn a blind eye. So that I could see more of, you know, on the face of things, oh, no, shake your finger. But behind the, you know, behind the scenes, you know, you're giving them the thumbs up and saying, go get them.
Well, Gordon did that in the Batman series. He was always like doing that without everybody knowing, and I like that. I want to see more of that.
I personally, I hate origin movies, and usually I hate them because I'm so tired of those scenes where they're awkwardly trying to figure out what their power is, whether it's their super strength and they're crushing shit on accident or what have you. It's meant for comedic effect, and I'm sure it's funny to somebody, but after you've seen enough of these films, you've seen it way too many times.
And it takes so little. There's almost like a montage, like 5-6 minute montage of them like figuring it out, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you got that in the Spider-Man movie as well. I mean, hell, both of the Spider-Man movies.
One of my biggest ones is whenever you've got, okay, these guys know you're the superhero, you're the big bad, you're Spider-Man, you're Superman, you're Batman, whoever you are, and you got a guy who knows he has no superpowers that always try to get ballsy with the guy that you know, the guy's in leotards and he just fell down from the building without even spraining an ankle. He can kick your ass. Don't get cocky with him. But they always get there like, well, I can take it. I'm the guy. I'm going to make this different. And you know, that usually ends pretty badly for him.
Or if you've just seen Batman whip 10 of your buddies' asses,
and you're
you
going to
think
step
you're
to
going to
him?
break in now? He's a little winded.
Well, there is.
No, that's I turn around and go, I got shit to do.
Yeah. I changed my mind. I'm not with the Penguin after all.
What about you, Brian?
Wasn't it Jack Reacher? I didn't see the movie, but I think I remember it from the preview where he beats up like 3 out of the 5 guys, and there's still 1 or 2 left, and he's like, "Really?"
Yeah.
You know, like
That should happen in comic book
I
movies.
beat three or 4 of your friends up. You still want to do this? You know, I'm tired of the science experiments gone wrong, and I'm talking about every fucking villain in every fucking Spider-Man movie.
Yep.
Lizard, Green Goblin, Doctor Octopus.
Yeah, I know what every
Sandman,
means.
for that
I know
matter.
what every means. I got it down. Every.
All.
Why the hell do we need 2 or 3 villains in sequels anymore?
I don't mind that. I mean,
Seriously, you don't mind that? It takes so much away from any real
That's what
storytelling.
the comics did, though. They all teamed up.
But the comics had a better media plan to do that. I don't think comic book films do. You've got 2 hours to tell a story, and they always have to do an origin of how they fell into a vat of acid and became whatever they became. There's not enough time. Every time they do that, it seems to not work. Very rarely does it work. I would give you a Dark Knight, but that's really about the only one where I can say it absolutely worked.
Well, that's where I think The Watchmen went in a good direction. Other than Dr. Manhattan, you really didn't get origin stories for every single one of the characters in that thing. You got a little of the comedian, some of his backstory, but that was because of Dr. Manhattan. They didn't go into all of that. They just dumped you into the world that had these characters in it, and then you just kept pace with it because you know what? Some of us who are in that theater, we're kind of smart. We can kind of, we can catch up.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like with the new Superman movie that they're doing the whole the origin story kind of peppered in throughout the film. I wish more of them would do that as well.
Instead of starting with the origin and then finally, big climax at the end and the movie's over.
Right.
Right. The one that bugs me, too, is that in a lot of these movies, both the hero and the villain have this super high intelligence. Every single one. Everyone's super smart. Give me... Like, we had a little bit of...
You want a dumbass villain? Or
I
a
do.
dumbass superhero?
I do. We had a little bit of that with Kick-Ass, right? He's like, he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He was the least interesting character in that movie, right?
That's true.
But I want to see more of that. I mean, let's be honest. When you're a kid and you've got a bully, someone that's picking on you, he's not the brightest crayon in the box. Let's be honest, right?
You want a Captain Hammer movie. You don't get that
Yeah,
reference.
he
Dave.
wasn't that smart.
Those that get that reference, I'm high-fiving you right now.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. I want a villain that it seems like the clever thing to have this villain that's super smart and is doing these diabolical plans. Give me a villain that is just strong and powerful and wants to take over stuff. And
yeah, I'm just angry for whatever reason. I don't need a 800 IQ.
And even the hero. Give me a hero that's not like all this money and super smart and this kind of thing. And just 2 guys that are just balls to the wall going at it because they're pissed off at each other. I want to see that in a comic book.
I want an explanation for where they come up with their mad sewing skills. Like,
oh, the God, yeah.
like
Especially
Spider-Man,
those Spider-Mans,
Spider-Man comes up with the most kick-ass, expensive fucking costume known to man, just out of nowhere. I mean, he whittles in his pad, and then bam, there it is. Like, where did you get that sewing machine?
That's a really good point.
And and I can get the blue and the red kind of sewn together, but that badass webbing over it, where'd that come from, bro?
Right. You ain't finding that at Hobby Lobby.
That you can see through well enough to swing from wall to wall.
They're cut and torn and shit, and apparently they've got plenty of patches to
he's got
go in there
backups.
and make it look seamless again.
And he gets it on the first time just enough to let his fingertips come through it so he can climb up the wall.
Yeah.
It's just fucking stupid.
Sam Raimi.
The biggest one, that's not Sam Raimi, that's Spider-Man. The biggest one for me is, can we stop going after the superhero's girlfriend? Seriously, I get that that's a plot device that works, but I'm so sick of it. Spider-Man's used it in every single fucking movie they've done. And it's just every superhero movie, it's always, he's got to save the girl. That gets old. It's old. Come up with something different.
When it was a new idea back when the comics first came out, and even the movies first started coming out, but come on, give me something fresh.
Something, can you have a
I'll
kid,
say that
a
Iron
legitimate
Man actually
kid
has
or
kind
something?
of done that right.
What's that?
Iron Man has actually kind of tackled that correctly.
Because I would agree with that, yeah.
Pepper Potts has kind of been his interest, but she's really not been in it too much until apparently this one, she's more in danger. But I'm fine with that. It's taken you 3 movies and the Avengers movie to get to that point. Go for it.
Yeah.
I've got a couple quick emails from our listeners, or messages from our listeners on Facebook. Michael H. says, I hate that it takes something tragic to turn into a superhero. It's like if your life is sunshine and sausages, there's no need to be a superhero or save anyone.
That's a good
You really
point.
like that, don't you?
I do. Sunshine and sausages is just
I agree.
funny.
If I got plenty of sausages, the fuck do I need to save people for?
I agree with that. Why does it always have to be like a tragic thing? Why can't they just shit happened and fantastic? Now they're just zipping around calling their friends.
Those family decals people put on the back windows of their vehicles? Mm-hmm. I saw one that had Batman and then just 2 gravestones. I was like, yes, okay. I like that.
That's funny. Michael F. says, I haven't seen it yet, but I seriously hope the meaningless death resurrection cliche doesn't take hold in the cinema versions. He's saying he doesn't want that to become a cliche. Also says, a comic book cliche I despise is reboots, like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy versus The Amazing Spider-Man, or the rumors of rebooting the Fantastic Four because the first 2 movies didn't work right.
That's about property ownership. That's got nothing to do with cliches and rebooting just for artistic merit.
Well, the death resurrection thing does. I'm glad that hasn't taken hold in the movie versions. I'm sure at some point it will. Where they kill him off, then they bring him back, then they kill him off. That gets old. And Greg S. says, if I see one more training montage or kidnapped girlfriend, I'll throw my popcorn at the screen. Absolutely correct.
Engage with us.
Well, get your pitching arm ready, dude, because it's going to happen.
The last cool training montage was Rocky IV, and that wasn't a superhero movie.
I wish I could argue, man. I can't.
Hey, he's a superhero to some of us.
All right. Well, if you guys got any you want to send in to us, we'll read them on the air next week. So send them to feedback at thehollywoodoutsiders.com. Some comic book cliches that piss you off. All right. Let's go to our closing where we got a couple messages. Justin?
We got Tammy on Twitter, she's really kind of become my favorite Twitterer out there now.
Get a lot of
She
favorites.
says, the best movie podcast, Hollywood Outsiders, they allow movie geeks to be geeks with a big old exclamation point. And yes, we do, because we're geeks too.
Oh, yeah. Haven't you listened to this episode? Fuck, nerd.
Her Twitter handle is at BBWRaven.
And Scotty?
We got an email from Sean M. He says, you actually mentioned the movie in the show later after you played the quote. Of course, he was referencing Army of Darkness, which we mentioned earlier. He also says, though, did anyone's chemistry book actually have the instructions for making gunpowder?
I wish.
Geeks equal money. All I got to say. Sean M.
You couldn't be more right. You can always find us, stay through the credits for our Walking Dead and Game of Thrones talk. You can find us on the website at thehollywoodoutsiders.com. It's mostly just for the podcast, so there's not constantly updated stuff. But if you go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/thehollywoodoutsiders or Twitter _outsider, we do update some stuff there. Tell your friends, subscribe on iTunes, Zoom, Google Reader, listen on your Stitcher Radio app. Give us a thumbs up if you do, or any plain old RSS feed, as well as RockfordCollegeRadio.com Thursdays from 4 to 6. Scott just gave me an actual thumbs up. Thanks to each of the podcasters. Justin McCumber, Who's a Minor Magic, is available now on Amazon, paperback, and Kindle.
And it will be available on the audiobook version of it. Should be in Probably about a week or two. I
excellent.
really think she did an amazing job reading that book. I hope those of you who listen to it enjoy it because it's definitely worth getting.
I have 4 copies, I think, so, I'll get another one. I'll get the audio one. My mother loves that book, by the way, so I say it's great. Brian Williams?
All right, enjoyed it.
Okay, and Scott Clark.
Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I don't have my second or third novel to talk about in Pimp. So, but I'll pimp Justin's anyway. Buy it.
Thank you.
Okay, stay tuned after the credits. We are going to talk about spoilers for Walking Dead and Game of Thrones. So if you want to continue listening, we'll be right back. So remember, the next time you guys go to a theater, buy popcorn. Hey guys, it's still the Hollywood Outsider, but instead of outtakes this week, we're talking about some of the highly talked about shows this past week: the Walking Dead season finale and the Game of Thrones season premiere. We're doing Walking Dead first, then Thrones, so look at your show notes if you need times to skip ahead. Spoilers are going to happen after this point. Ready? All right, Walking Dead. First up, Andrea Diane. Do you guys think this redeemed her character finally, or should she have picked those fucking pliers up just a little faster and done a little of this talking?
Thank you for saying that. Why are you stopping and watching the guy die and become a zombie instead of picking up the pliers and getting yourself out faster?
Multitask, bitch.
Seriously, that drove me crazy.
She should have called Glenn and got some fucking tips, because that dude ninja'd out of a chair earlier and managed to kill a fucking zombie, no problem. She's sitting there. He's even telling. He's sitting there dying, going, "Hey, guess
Hurry.
what? Guess what? You should probably hurry. I can feel it going out." And she's like, "What's up, Milton? What's wrong, man? You got a cold?
You want to talk about your feelings?
You want to hug it out?"
That drove me so crazy. If you were in that situation, I would be hurrying the hell up.
I would too. And the fact that she had perfectly pedicured toes, that's fine. I mean, the girl took care of herself.
I didn't notice that.
Perfectly pedicured.
I didn't notice.
But here's the thing. I'm very much in the minority of this. I like her character. Most people don't like her character. Most people on the internet
don't like both, but I want to hear why you like her.
I like her because I think Laurie Holden is a good actress, and I think the way that they wrote her character was she was always the one trying to do the right thing, never realizing that in this world the right thing is no longer the right thing.
Right.
It is still what's correct, but unfortunately in this world you're not going to survive that way. That's what I think her character was, and I just think most people thought, well, all she did is stupid choice after stupid choice.
Well, to elaborate on what Aaron's saying is, I think that Andrea is the one character in this world that realizes that these people should be teaming up together and working stuff out and working together towards the actual problem, which is the walkers, instead of fighting against each other. And now we've killed that off, and now nobody has that intention. You've even got Carl, who is 12 years old, and he makes some really good points.
Well, we'll get to Carl.
I know. But even Carl is jaded and in this world and against all awesome. He's supposed to be the innocent one. He's the youngest one there outside of the baby.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the whole thing with Angel, I don't know. I just don't like her. I don't like I saw an interview with her where she said that, she kind of reminded me that her character was, before the apocalypse, some sort of lawyer. I believe she was some sort of women's rights lawyer or something like that.
Okay.
So she's always her whole motivation is helping people, and that's what with the this little summit she got with the governor and Rick. That was her trying to like you say, she's the one that recognizes that, hey, these people, everybody needs to be working together. We shouldn't be fighting here. So let's get you two guys together. Let's hash it out. Let's work out some sort of agreement and move forward together at that point. But there's certain things, and it was physical stuff that she would do that bothered me. She always looked like she, how somebody will kind of hop on one leg and just kind of huff and like they're disgusted, or they're waiting for a train that's late, or
she always looked pouty.
Yeah. And that just bugged me. And it didn't matter if she was in the woods with zombies, she would do that, or or standing around with a group with everybody else, and she just kind of had this pouty, I don't know, air about her. It just drove me nuts. I just didn't care for her.
You're glad she's gone.
I'm glad she's gone.
Now, what about the war? The Woodbury versus prison war that ended up in a flashbang and people driving away?
Yeah, it was it was two people and some tricks, basically scared off everybody else.
Did you guys think that was kind of like for all the build up for the last second half of the season? Was that kind of a letdown for you guys? It was for me.
I kind of saw it coming a little bit.
I didn't. I thought they was actually building up to a war. They kept talking about there's a war.
They built up to something else, though.
What? Because the ending is very kind of wipe the slate clean type of deal where they can go just about any direction at this point. It's not like they set anything major.
But the way they wiped the slate clean with the governor going nuts and turning firing on his own people.
You mean where he shot 98 people and nobody drew on him? They're just sitting around going, oh shit, he's shooting us. Fuck.
Well, one guy did.
Oh.
No, he didn't.
He started to. He didn't make it very far.
Yeah, he took too long, dummy.
Basically, the guys that are with him just look at him like, oh, shit. We could shoot him right now. We would be done with this. But I don't know. Why do we need him around? Why did they let him live? I don't understand. Once you realize that the guy has no sympathy for anyone, why the fuck would you let him live?
Why are those two guys still hanging out with him?
This is going to be one of those shows that we look back on, down the road after it's all said and done. And then we're going to go like, wow, why didn't I pick up on this before? Because there's a lot of stuff going on with this. Like, how are they driving around everywhere? Mm-hmm. There's only, they've been in this zombie apocalypse for approximately in this universe, like a year and a half.
Yeah, but they're driving, it started in 2010 and they're driving a 2013 Hyundai.
Right. And granted, but they haven't really traveled a very far. And most of the time they've spent has been in country areas. So the vehicles that are parked on the side of the road that they could possibly siphon gas from are very limited, and they've probably picked over just about all of them in their area at this point. But yet they're between them and the people at Woodbury and anybody else that happens to be in the area that we're not aware of at this time, they're all still driving excursions, all these gas guzzling vehicles. But yet, where are they getting all the gas from?
Okay, that's a good point.
Who's mowing the yards? Have you noticed all the yards? The grass should be 12 feet high at this point.
That's a really good point.
The prisons are. Well, let's get back to the real topic. What did you guys think about the ultimate outcome with the big war that's been building up between the governor and Rick? Nothing really happened. I mean, it was very anticlimactic.
I liked it, though. A lot of people are complaining about that.
But why did you like it? What did you like about it?
Because it wasn't what I expected. I expected this all-out war and gunfire and that kind of stuff. That's not what the series is about. The series is about the characters. And the fact that now the governor is kind of on the run with two guys that are a little skeptical about being with him as it is. I just don't know where it's going to go, and I like that. Are they going to chase him down? Is he going to try to take over the compound with three guys? I mean, what's going to happen at this point?
What do you think, Brian?
I like that it's like these two guys that are skeptical. He just watched them gun down 25 people in cold blood. I don't know about this guy. What do you think? I don't know, man. He looks a little sketchy. Give him a little time. We'll see if he's all right. So,
and they're
no, I mean, I agree with you though. Yeah, it's him and two guys riding around. I didn't like it. I just I didn't need a giant battle. I don't know. I wanted something else. Unless this being said, I don't know what they've got involved in store for the governor. Mm-hmm. I haven't read the comics. I don't know I know they don't stay true to the comics completely, but I don't know what the governor's history has been in the comics. So I don't know what they may have in store for him. But his options are very limited at this point, and I wanted more. I just felt like I was let down. I didn't need a giant battle. I kind of felt like we got that at the few episodes ago where they barged through and so I kind of felt like we got that somewhat.
But it was really kind of a cheap battle. I mean, we're going to go in. We've got all these guys. I mean, they built it up even at the beginning of the episode. Then they get there. They storm the prison. And, I mean, they're all badass with all their guns and everything else. There's a couple flashbangs, and they run away like scared bitches.
Yeah.
Well, they did have the body
armor. And there's 47 people shooting, and nobody gets hit. Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah. Well, I agree. But also, this quote-unquote army at this point is no longer his core group of guys. They've all been taken out. Merle took out 90% of them.
That's
So
true.
he's going in with civilians at this point. So he's down scraping the bottom of the barrel for people to go in there and take over this place. And that's what normal people do when the shit gets real.
Can I tell you, that was my favorite moment in the show? Not the Carl scene, but when Daryl at the beginning realized what Merle did.
I did. Yeah, I like that too.
That was my favorite moment in the show, because when he go, man, Merle ain't never done nothing like that in his life. I just thought that was a great moment where he's the only person that realized what he really did. And the fact that he's his brother is really the only reason he realized it.
Right.
So why do you think they took the people back to the prison instead of staying in Woodbury, where they had, nice beds and shit?
Well, probably because they don't know what's still going on in Woodbury.
I guess that's fair.
I mean, they don't really know. I mean, yeah, they know the governor came to attack them, but they don't know. And as far as they know, everybody left. They don't know that they stopped off in the middle of the road and the governor pulled a Pol Pot and had mass executions and stuff out. So that was a little history reference for you two guys. I don't know if, but anyway.
I'm too tired for history, man. Okay.
So my point is I don't think they realize what happened. So they, as far as they know, they held off an attack and everybody's back in Woodbury.
No. They told them, they took the lady back that survived, and they told the townspeople what happened. Then they went back to the prison with them.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you were watching, but
Yeah, no, I forgot about that. But,
you think it was because of security, because they know the governor's going to come back, and they're afraid for the townspeople?
Was
so
he building their army? I mean,
He
where's he going
could.
to find people?
Well, apparently he's very charismatic with his
just-
crazy eye.
And but he wasn't crazy before he got the crazy eye. Is my point. They they followed him because he was a good leader and he did all these good things for them and organized very well. He's lost his freaking mind at this point. I don't know who's going to follow him, especially with his two cronies that know he's crazy.
No, they're skeptical.
They're skeptical.
They're skeptical.
They know he's crazy.
Something's
but
not
they're
right
skeptical.
about this guy.
I got to tell you, that's one character. I know people like him, and I really liked him for a while. I want him gone.
The governor?
The governor. He's just become such a one-note, mustache-twirling villain. It's just not good anymore.
He has no motivation anymore than I just need to be the bad guy.
Yeah, that really seems he's just hell-bent on destroying them, and I just can't follow his logic anymore.
Yeah, there's no logic. His daughter's dead. We're on a spoiler cast, so I can say that. His daughter's dead. He has nothing to live for other than to prove some point, and I don't even know what that point is at this point.
Brian, do you still like the governor?
No, I've never liked him.
Oh, well,
I
all right
never really
then.
liked him at all either.
So
I did when he was riding the line.
I never felt, I guess, a connection. I never, from day one, even though he's smiling, I knew he was the villain. He just always, to me, I just always kept waiting for his true colors to come out. And now they've come out and I'm just kind of like, all right, it's kind of the guy I thought you were, 9 episodes ago or what have you. So
Yeah, I felt, especially when Andrew started sleeping with him, I was like, really? Come on. What are you doing? You're supposed to be with the good
it just
guys.
felt like that was one of those things they were trying to surprise you with. And it was kind of, well, I ain't going to ruin the G.I. Joe comparison, but it was very obvious from the get-go. I'll just put it that way.
Okay, let's go to the biggest moment of the show before we wrap this part up. Carl. Is he a genius, or is he a crazy little mini governor in waiting? Because he shot that motherfucking kid in the face.
Well, he's a homicidal maniac waiting to happen.
Is that a bad thing in this world, though?
Yes, you can't just go killing people who ain't dead yet just because you don't know them.
All right, that kid was doing I'm giving you my gun. I mean, he's real slow. When somebody points a gun at you and says, drop your gun, you drop your gun. Or hand me your gun, you hand me your gun. You don't slowly start
His
edging
hand was
toward-
not on the trigger. It was in the middle of the gun.
you fuck.
And his other hand was up, and he's lowering it down.
Carl said
Slow.
when his dad asked him
That's
about
what
that.
you do. You don't make any sudden movements.
I disagree,
That's what
man.
you do.
When
You don't just drop your gun. You
when
lay it down.
Carl was talking to Rick and he explained the situation, he explained how the people that Rick had let live came back and killed several people. That was the
He
smartest
lied.
thing any of these fucking characters have said the entire series. That was the smartest thing.
I agree.
I'm like, hail Carl, Team Carl. I'm with you.
He lied, first of all.
He didn't lie.
He did lie. He said he drew on him.
He did
And then-
draw on him. He was holding a gun at him.
He did draw on him first.
And then Herschel corrected him or told Rick what really happened afterwards.
I was with Carl, man. The kid, he should have just dropped his gun. He was like going way too slow, easing that shit toward him. I would have shot him.
I can't say I've never had a gun drawn on me, but if I would imagine that if a gun were drawn on me, that I would quickly drop whatever's going on. I wouldn't be like slowly.
I would take that gun and just whip it across the room. I'd be like, what gun? I got no gun. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
What you talking about, Wallace? All right, overall, I mean, we can disagree on that. And Brian, you're wrong.
Don't be that guy.
No, I won't be that guy.
Yeah,
but there is
joke's old.
that's a lot of debate. Everybody I've talked to is either one side of the fence or the other. Like Carl's the
But
smartest
that's
guy in
what's
the room.
great about it, though. I mean, it's all about one's perception of that scene. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that scene is shot one way. There's no tricks, nothing like that. But everybody watches that scene and sees something slightly different.
The kid saw his mother die.
I think the kid is more akin to Shane. Shane's upbringing and the way he was raising him, so to speak, before Rick got there. I think that's what you're saying. I don't think he's a little mini governor.
How long was Shane around, though?
That was like a while. I mean, from the start of the zombie apocalypse until Rick got there.
Look, I mean, Shane or no Shane, the kid's 11 years old, 10, 11 years old, killing quote-unquote zombies. I mean, he's growing up in a world that none of us could possibly imagine and taking on responsibilities that none of us could ever conceive. So he's going to be darker and twisted. Mm-hmm. Not to mention, like you say, he killed his mother.
And he bitch slapped his dad in that episode. I'm telling you, when he made that speech to him and then just dropped the badge like it was a mic and walked away, fucking awesome. I'm like, Team Carl, I'm with you. All right, overall, looking forward to next season, or did this finale leave you a little bit of a whimper?
Are you kidding?
I'm asking.
I can't wait for next season. I mean, it's a long ways away now.
Mm-hmm. October, I think.
Yeah.
Brian, what about you?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, I'm one of my top 2 or 3 shows of them all going on right now. So definitely, it may not be the ending that I expected, but in a way, that's a good thing because you like to be caught off guard.
Yeah.
And even though I might not think it was caught off guard in a good way, it was an ending I really didn't see coming, and I like the kind of clean slate that they can go now. Mm-hmm. And I hope to see. Starts with a T. The guy that
Tyrese.
I'm looking forward to seeing him in a larger role this next season.
Mm-hmm. Same here. I didn't think it was the best. It seemed more of like a regular episode than it did a season finale.
Yeah.
Right.
But it still, I mean, it set things up nicely. I was really sad to see Andrea go because I'm a fan of Andrea. I thought her death was, even though it was ridiculous that it took her 64 hours to get those pliers in her hands, and then she managed to cut herself out in about 3 minutes after she turned into a zombie. But still, it was sad to see her go.
About 15 seconds too late.
Yeah, exactly. 15 seconds too late. So, okay. Now, Game of Thrones. All right. We haven't seen much nor read the books, so I have no idea how the season's going to go. But so far, I like that they're starting the series building things up naturally as opposed to like last year's premiere where they just crammed every single character into the premiere and you just had no idea what the fuck was going on.
Well, here's what I love and hate about the Game of Thrones series as far as the first episode of the series. They don't do what typical series do, and they give you this big set piece moment or big mind-blowing thing. It's just another episode, which on the surface you think, no, I really want that big thing going on at the very beginning or very end. And what the Game of Thrones series seems to do is just kind of like leads you into it until that climax, and then they peter you down the final episode. I actually really appreciate that they do that in this series, and especially with this trailer. A lot of people are not loving it because nothing big happened.
For the premiere, you mean?
Yeah, the premiere of season 3, and I love the way it ended. I don't know if we're getting.
I'm trying to remember what the ending was.
The ending was, and Brian knows the names better than I do. I cannot for life of me remember the guy's name. Not the guy that showed up to meet Daenerys.
Okay, the slave trader or the slave trader. Yeah, she's trying to build the army. That guy.
No. The guy that laid down his sword in front of Joffrey.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh Sir Barrister.
Barrister, is that his name?
Yeah. So,
that's the first time that I remember that we've seen any connection to Daenerys' story to anybody else other than talking about the throne.
It's a good point.
There's never been any connection of any of those characters whatsoever, and finally we're starting to see a little bit of that coming together a little bit. Now we've got some tie about her going back and trying to take over the throne herself. Mm-hmm. And again, Brian, you've read the books, but in my mind, I'm just imagining this all-out 3 or 4 or 5-way war going on at King's Landing, and to me, that was the starting point of that happening, and I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm not. What I do is I'll read the books after the season.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I understand the season more, and maybe get a little bit more insight on some of the characters and that kind of stuff. Because one of the things I love about these is the surprise of something that happens, and I don't want to know that. Oh man, this is where Sansa dies. I just don't want to. I don't want to know that. I want to be caught off guard, and that's why when Sean Bean. Ned Stark was killed, that's why it was such a surprise. You kind of sitting there thinking like, surely this is he's the biggest name on this show. He's got to live, but nope.
Yeah.
So,
no, he didn't. Were you happy with the premiere, Brian? I mean, did you like the way it flowed?
I agree with what what y'all were saying, that it's that it feels just like a mid-season episode. I do like that they're kind of speeding along Dany Targaryen's acquisition of an army. Mm-hmm. I feel like her little ordeal is kind of being stretched out a little bit too long.
Yeah, her season 2 took way too long.
Yep.
Yeah, I kind of felt they could have condensed that a little bit, and there's whatever. I do like that they're kind of rushing that along a little bit. The dragons are a little bit bigger. They're obviously spending a little bit of time north of the wall, and kind of seeing a little bit more of what goes on up there, which is kind of nice. So I thought overall, I thought it was a good one. Again, it didn't have that one big moment like, oh, there's the hook,
Right. And I got to ask a question as far as content, because I want to make sure I'm understanding the story. Jon Snow is faking it, right? He's faking allegiance with I don't even know the name of that group there.
Mace Windu.
Mance Raider.
Mace Windu.
Mace Windu.
The guy from Some of All Fears.
Yeah, Mance Raider is what he said.
Mance Raider. Yeah.
He's faking it. Yes or no?
I think he's faking it.
That's
because he's pretty convincing.
Well, I think for the most part he's faking it, but also he's starting to see that, maybe this is he's starting to get a little conflicted here. Like, maybe these people aren't that bad. Mm-hmm. Maybe we're the ones that's wrong.
Right.
And he's kind of seeing literally and figuratively both sides of the fence here.
Nice.
I'm really intrigued by that part of the story. I think almost as much.
I'm very intrigued by several points. I thought Tyrion with Cersei and Tyrion with his dad. The scene with his dad was fucking phenomenal.
Yes, it was.
And the fact that I think his dad hates him, not because he's this bastard that killed his wife or whatever. I think he hates him because he's so much like him. Mm-hmm. Like they seem like they are the same character. It's just Tyrion has a little bit more humanity in him, but his dad, they're both smart, they're both cunning, they're both very duplicitous, but they're very political. What's that?
Ooh, that was a nice word.
I know, right? And I think that's why he despises him. I think he looks at him not that he's an imp. I don't think that's why. I think it's part of it, but I think a larger part is he realizes that you're the one that Jaime should have been like you, and instead I get the imp one who carries all of my traits. That's kind of how I see it.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
I don't know. This one was he kind of really threw it out there that, well, I hate you because I'd look at it as the way that you killed my wife.
I think just because
I know that was what was said. It may not not what is said is not always what is really, the truth. Mm-hmm. Maybe it is. Maybe that your point of view is more the underlying current there. But
and I would also say that Jaime's far from a dumbass. I mean, he's a smart guy too.
He is, but
he doesn't care about the Iron Throne.
Nah, he doesn't care about the Iron Throne.
He cares about his sister.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. He loves his sister, and he likes fighting and kind of being part of an army type of mentality. He could care less about the throne. and playing all the games and all that shit. Where Tyrion loves it and is great at it, much like his father. Like, and it kind of ties back to your point I mean, that's what he's good at. That's what he loves, and that was so hard to watch. And I know, Aaron, in the second season, you were starting to like Tywin Lannister.
I still do, yeah.
Kind of like me, but it was this season. I mean, this first episode, you could really see that he's really an asshole. So
he's very cruel, and he's the guy. I mean, to me, he is the strongest character in the entire show. Like, he's the reason all of these things happen, all because of Papa Lannister. Everything that starting this show, strongest in terms of character. In terms of influence and power and everything else. The king does what the right-hand man says. I mean, that's how powerful he is. And I think everything that happened in the show is because he started it. It's really, it all falls back to Daddy Lannister. And the fact that he just despises the second smartest person in the show, it really intrigues me. And I really love seeing Peter Dinklage the way he played it, because you could tell how humiliated he was, which you don't normally see when he's playing that role. Usually he's extremely cocky, but it's almost like you could tell this is the one guy that I can't beat.
Yep.
It's the one guy I can't outsmart.
I will agree with you 100% on that.
And he played it so freaking fantastic. He should get an Emmy just for that scene. I'll be honest. Look, I don't know what the budget for this show is, but don't you guys think this looks like the highest budgeted show ever on television?
And what I've read, it's not. I heard there was a lot of budget cuts made.
They cut the budget?
That's what I read.
Because those dragons, they actually look pretty
really
good. Yeah. I mean, I can't say they look real because I've never actually seen a dragon. But
it looked believable enough.
Yeah. From what I've heard, looks like one.
From what I've heard.
Yeah, I didn't realize they got cuts. I thought they got a little bit more money, but...
maybe I misread. It was April Fool's Day a couple days ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, but even still, I know I did read something where I know they're not. Last season they had the big scene, the big Blackwater, the Battle at Blackwater Bay.
Oh, so awesome.
That was the the CGI highlight of the whole season. That was most of their budget in that one scene. This season they're going to spread it out more evenly. So, and they just about have to, because now this season we should start getting into the more fantasy aspects of it, where it's been just more almost like a medieval stories and stuff. It's kind of almost forgotten that this is really more of a fantasy type story, and now we're going to really start to see that.
Does that make you guys nervous, or does that make you?
No, that makes you nervous, not me, because I know you said that last year that you don't want it to go more fantasy, where I do. So
it surprises me that you do.
Why? I love Lord of the Rings and that sort of thing, so it falls in line with that.
I don't know.
There's only so much Middle Earth politics we can do. The whole purpose of the entire series of books is that you start off as regular old, medieval politics, and then a little bit of magic is unleashed, and then slowly but gradually it builds up to a massive payoff. And I don't know how they're going to keep the budget up to pay for that shit. But that's what the books build up to.
I think rewatching season 2 actually 1 and 2 has kind of reopened my eyes a little bit to that, and it's been more of a gradual growth towards that I'm more welcome to that now.
Well, and also, and that also goes hand in hand with the dragons.
Yeah,
the dragon, and they've mentioned this a number of times in a few different episodes in both seasons, where, there's not been dragons around for whatever it is, 1,000 years or more. Nobody. So it's so long that basically people kind of figured they just didn't even exist anymore. And so, and as far as magic goes, these the skinny blue-lipped magician guys in the second season, they even say, our magic is stronger in the presence of dragons. So,
well, they very much stress the fact that because Daenerys hatched those dragons, that's why the magic's coming back.
Right.
That's why the White Walkers are coming. That's why everything's happening, is because of that. It's really her fault that all this is happening.
Right.
So now we got to wrap the show up. But what were you guys most disappointed in? Anything? Or was there anything you were disappointed with?
No.
I can't think of anything else.
I'll tell you what. The one thing is Davos Seaworth. I was glad. It was really an emotional roller coaster in a way, because he was one of my favorite characters in last season. He was Stannis Baratheon's right-hand man. He was the
Oh, yeah.
smuggler turned knight.
That was a really
He had-
stupid move on his part, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I mean, especially after you've already seen a couple of people who confronted her instantly dead. So the fact that he's now locked away in a prison is in a way he's lucky, but it just sucks because I was glad to see him alive. I thought the way they introduced his character where you see a nubs of a hand trying to block the sun.
And he's
It's
got to
pretty
make a
cool.
choice as to say who he is when that boat shows up. That was pretty
Right.
cool because you're like, did he make the right call?
Yeah, but that would be the one I was disappointed with, was how he handled that, because I just thought that was silly. I mean, the guys on the boat said, hey, don't question him because you're going to end up burning like this motherfucker. And he's like, I'm going to go up there. I'm different, Just
Yeah.
Well, he
didn't
was
seem
his
smart.
right-hand man, though. I mean,
I don't
Yeah,
know.
but he knows how headstrong that Stannis is, and he's obviously really deep into the basically just listening to Melisandre. So
Now, what was the highlight? What was your favorite portion of the premiere? What was the scene where you're like, that's the scene I'm going to remember the whole season?
I mentioned it already when the guy is introduced to Daenerys at the very end, and that connection between the two continents or whatever in the world of Westeros is. We're finally getting a little bit of bleed over. It was the moment for me. I was like, all right, let's do this.
What about you, Brian?
yeah, that was good. Barristan Selby, something like that. Barristan Selby, something like that. God, man, I don't know. The guy getting his nipple cut off was pretty, that'll stick with you for a while.
And to do that without flinching and stuff. Obviously, it's a TV show, but
Well, they're warriors.
yeah.
Mine's the entire Daddy Lannister and Tyrion conversation.
That
That
was
was
pretty
my
good,
favorite
too.
scene. That's my favorite scene of the entire series so far. Honestly.
Wow.
It even trumps Ned Stark getting beheaded. I just thought that was played so perfect. Looked like a real father and son. What are you guys hoping you're going to see as we wrap up? What do you guys hope to see this season? Is there anything you definitely want to see happen?
There's things I don't want to see happen.
Like what? Your favorite characters dying?
Yes. And I just that's my fear. From I just don't want that to happen because he's killed off so many good characters from the first two seasons. And
I think that continues, sir.
I know.
I do.
I've heard
obviously
murmurings.
you can't get too attached to
It's so
anybody
hard to
for
do in
very
a series
long.
like this.
Yeah, you're right, and it's you do get attached to him, and it's so frustrating because you're like, damn it, I don't want to like him. I know he's going to die.
Right.
What about you, Brian? Is there anything you're looking forward to that you hope happens?
I think I want to see Jack and Hagar, the assassin guy with the changes looks.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to see him back again.
I would love to see him back in maybe train Arya how to do that. Again, I don't know. He may not even be back at all, and I don't know. He may be gone forever.
People that are reading the books right now are screaming at their iPods.
Yeah, I know. They're like, oh God.
Yeah, I don't want to know, man. Don't email me because I don't want to know.
Please don't email us and tell us. Seriously.
Yeah, what I'm looking for, I just don't want any more stupid plot points. The whole thing with Daenerys taking a whole season with those dragons really wore on me last season.
We didn't hear the phrase once in the first episode, thank God.
I know, but when you got to make a T-shirt because you hear that shit so much, because people made T-shirts for "Where are my dragon?"
You got to say it with an
The
accent.
showmaker should be like, "Oh shit, we should stop that."
They did.
Yeah, well, eventually, but it took 10 fucking episodes. I just don't want a plot point like that. I think right now the series has started off already 5 times stronger than last year. So you don't have to keep going at a blistering pace, but just keep the momentum moving forward.
Be deliberate.
Well, from myself, Scott, and Brian, this is the Hollywood Outsider. Remember, the next time you turn on your TV, put on microwave popcorn. Talk to you guys later.
That was dumber now, man.